Welcome today. We got our Golden Empire podcast today. We got Frank Nava joining us today. How you doing today, Frank?
I'm doing good. What's going on, Robert?
Nothing much, just wanted to get back into it. We were doing some interviews and stuff before COVID, but we kind of had a restart. So you're going to be our first guest, after COVID. So we just want to talk about the business, and our main purpose is to learn more about the business and help brands out and see how we can help them grow and develop. And so today we have you on because you work for one of the top distributors in the LA market, and I think it'd be good for people to understand who you are, understand the business, understand how you work and how distributing works, and how some of these brands that are up and coming could do a better job and help support you and do a better job out there in the market.
Alright.
So, before we get right into it, just talk about Frank. Who is Frank? So, Frank, I've known you for a few years, but really want to know more about your business background and where you started. So, where did you start in this industry, in the food and beverage industry?
I started working at I started working for you. As a matter of fact, at Energize, and you were my boss.
But didn't you work for Pepsi or someone before that?
Oh yeah, I did. I worked for Coca-Cola as a merchandiser. And then I went to Pepsi after that, because they offered me more money.
So you worked for both of them? You worked for Coke and Pepsi?
Yeah.
Were you doing the same role at Coke and Pepsi merchandising?
Yeah, just merchandising. I was never sales or anything.
And what year roughly was that around?
Like 99?
So late 90s?
Yeah, basically.
And you were doing merchandising for both companies at the time?
Well, first I started at Coke, and then Pepsi offered me more money, so I left to Pepsi for.
But the same role though, merchandising.
Yeah, I was just merchandising.
It's been different. I started the industry too as a merchandiser, and I started off in Coca-Cola about I think 2000 as well, 2001 maybe. And I'll just tell you my experience, and you can tell me yours. But when I was merchandising at Coke, when I first started, it was a lot different in the industry. There wasn't that many items and products. So when I was merchandising, I was concentrating on what we call large format, which was, your big supermarkets. But we didn't have so many different items. Our big focus was always the Coca-Cola 12 packs, 6 packs, 2 liters.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't really have a lot of different items that Coke has now. So we used to do, back then it was Evian was part of it, and Powerade. That was basically it. We didn't really have all these new items. So it was a lot different. I would probably spend an average of 2 to 3 hours per store. And then
depending on how big the store was.
Yeah, and then on Wednesday, sometimes a little bit longer because you had to build displays. But
yeah,
on average 2 to 3 hours, because we didn't have so many different items. So now if you're a merchandiser, they got a lot more smaller items, so it takes you a little bit longer to merchandise it.
Yeah, but it also took you forever too, because the pricing was ridiculous, and you had to build displays outside the store, inside the store. Size stacks.
I remember 4th of July we used to triple hit stores because the 12 packs were on sale so cheap that we would waterfall, and by waterfall I mean that here's your aisle and we would put a stack outside of the aisle.
$1.50 a 12 pack.
So I would go in the morning, like Stater Brothers, I would go in the morning, then in the afternoon I would go, and then almost at night I would go again for a triple hit. Because they were selling so fast, especially during holidays, 4th of July, and these things.
What do you mean by the prices are ridiculous? Could you explain a little bit more on that?
Okay, so the pricing, what do you remember what the pricing was like on 12 packs back then when it was on sale?
$1.50 a 12 pack. Now they're like what, $7 now? It's ridiculous. And then the 6 pack cans are 99 cents. So I was working like 80 hours a week.
I remember when I was a Coke merchandiser, I would wake up and it was dark, and I'd get home and it was dark. So it's like you never saw day because you were inside the stores.
You're so burned out. That's why I went to Pepsi after, because they offered more money.
But to me, honestly, I liked working there. It was fun, and
your day goes by like this. It's like it's already 1 o'clock. Like, I haven't even eaten or anything. Because you're on about.
Was there any difference between merchandising at Coke and Pepsi back then? Or was it?
No, Coke was a lot more. It was a lot more work, and it was less pay. And Pepsi was slower. It didn't sell as fast as Coke. So.
What did Pepsi have back then? They didn't have a lot of stuff either, right? Like.
No, they didn't. They just had. Let's see, it was Diet Coke.
Diet
Coke
Pepsi.
Zero. Yeah, I mean Diet Pepsi. Oops. Diet. 01. Pepsi 1.
But they didn't have Starbucks and all this other stuff.
No, not yet. No.
So it was just mainly the colas.
I didn't think we had Monster at that time.
No way.
Yeah.
Monster came way later.
No.
Waters too. Did you guys even have any waters back then?
Did we have Aquafina? No. No. You know what's been so long? No, I don't
think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. What I'm saying is like it's just so crazy how fast things have gone, and like, all these brands that Coke and Pepsi have added, since we were there. So where did you go after Coke and Pepsi?
I think I went to Home Depot, and was a merchant, not a merchandiser, but like a reset specialist. It was called. I forgot what the company was called though, but we work at different Home Depots. It was like a vendor thing.
And just stocking up everything and fixing the shelves.
Yeah, that was basically it. And then on Christmas, we would put Christmas ornaments up and everything, and reset the shelves and all that.
Yeah, so by reset, you would take off everything that was existing and bring in the new items, the seasonal items. Where did you go after Home Depot?
With you, at Red Bull.
Which was Energized Distribution at the time, which was the largest distributor for Southern California. And you came on board. Did you start off as a salesman when you joined us? Had you had any sales experience prior to that?
No.
How was it working with me, for me?
Very nervous. You're very demanding. You're very... you seem like a calm dude, but you have your ways. So, yeah, I remember you doing role plays every time. That I don't forget. But it made me a better person. I made me way better what I am now. So.
How often were you doing role plays?
Every day. It was every day, 6 a.m. Every day was somebody different all the time. I was new there, so it was like my third day, and he picked me for some reason, and there was like other people that. So.
Were you nervous?
Yes. Yes, I didn't even know what to say or do or just. No,
so I mean, but that's the way it is. Like the first time I remember doing a role play, I had to do it in front of like 50 people, and I was a teenager, and I felt so nervous, and I did a good job as far as my presentation of what I was trying to execute, but I kept stuttering, and I lost my place, and I couldn't think because I got so nervous looking at everybody. And it was a competition between me and a veteran salesman, and his was more fluent, but people said that I did a better job because of my presentation. But I was really nervous the first time I did it. So when I had you guys, I just on my team I used to do role plays every day, but I was really tough on you guys on purpose. Like I would ask tough questions, and every question I would ask was really real life scenarios, stuff that I've had already gone through when I was a salesman. So what I wanted to do was prepare you guys so that when you went out to the stores, they were easy because I gave you a harder time. So I just wanted you, like, when you went to the store, it's like, well, this is nothing, like Robert gave me a harder time.
Basically.
When you say role play, like what type of role play was it? What give me an example of the scenarios.
So by role play, what we would do and the way we were doing it when I was
how to sell, how to talk to the customer,
I would present a scenario, and I would be like, okay, Frank, you're the salesman, and I would typically be the store manager. And at the time we were just selling Red Bull, and Red Bull was still pretty new, so not everybody knew what it was. There was not a big category for energy drinks. So what I would do is I would give them very difficult questions. I would say things like, no, I don't want it, I don't know what it is. No, it's too expensive. Just any obstacle, and every obstacle. And their job was to overcome it, and for me at the end to say, yes, I'll take it. And most of the time I said no, and no matter what they told me I was going to say no. I just wanted to see how long they would last and how much
I used to panic. I used to hope that it wouldn't pick me, or if it was my turn, I would want to call in sick and not even come to work that day, just because of the way it was. So.
But I never told anybody who was going, so I just that way
randomly. I thought it was like a circle thing, and no, I would just fucking choose wherever you wanted to. Like, what's your turn? Like, what? No, we're going this way. Or like.
But what I also did too is at the end when you did your presentation, everybody else was watching, and I'd have everybody give you constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And what did you do good, and how can you do better?
Yeah.
And then when it was someone else's turn, I would ask you too, how did they do? Mm-hmm. What worked and what? So that way you can learn from each other too, because everybody sees things differently and sees an opportunity. Mm-hmm. But really, I just wanted you guys to be successful. And to me, like in sales, everything's sales in life. So if you're able to do that, then in life you're going to be able to use sales as well. If you're meeting a woman, it's like, okay, you're selling
He's
yourself.
the reason where I'm at right now. So.
Well, I would say thank you, and hopefully everything I said or whatever helped you, but a lot of it's you, because you took it in and you worked hard, and you still work hard, and you used it, and your mindset changed into being more driven and being more focused now, which has allowed you to grow, and it's allowed you to do so much more in life, because your mentality has changed. But like I said, that was my whole goal. There was just like, no matter what scenario you're in, it's like you were gonna have an answer, because I was tougher. So you were at Energized for how long?
Almost 3 years.
Why did you leave Energized? Was it when we went through the transition?
Because we sold, and then we sold to Red Bull.
So Energized was a distributor, but what ended up happening is Red Bull decided we're going to do our own distribution. So a lot of people left, they kept a few of us around, and then there was a lot of changes. So where did you end up going after Energized?
Heineken. I was for an agency. Had a friend who got me an interview, and I got in. I got lucky, because normally you gotta have like a bachelor's degree or something to get in there. So I passed. They asked me questions that I knew the answers to, and I got a phone call the next day.
Were you nervous with these questions?
Actually, I wasn't as much, but I was more when I saw them three. Like, damn, I'm gonna get questioned by all these three guys right here. So.
Well, good thing I prepared you, huh?
Yeah, anything they asked me, I had the answers for. So it was like, and right away I got a call the same day, and they told me that I was in. I was like, I wasn't expecting that.
What were you doing at Heineken?
Just selling beer, making sure we're selling pallets of Tecate. We're distributed by Mission Beverage, and we're traveling a lot too. Like, we're sponsored by Coachella, sponsored by Tecate for the boxing, so we had tickets for every venue for the Dodgers, Clippers, Lakers, soccer. It was a fun job, and then we used to work with Promo Girls, which was icing on the cake. So that's for a single person, just to let you know.
Well, we kind of lost touch at that time, because I still did sales, and then you went to do beer. How long were you at Heineken?
Almost 3 years.
Where'd you go after Heineken?
I think I worked with you out there again on the side.
No, you were doing.
Oh no, I was working for U.S. Foods.
But you were working for Advanzar before that, I think, or.
Fuck, I mean, you know what? You're right.
You were there working.
I went back to Energize, Advanzar.
So some of our business partners and owners of which was called Energize Distribution, eventually ended up starting another company called Advanzar, and it was the same thing. It was sales of beverages and snacks. When we were doing Energize, it was predominantly Red Bull, but then we started adding other items. And then when Red Bull decided to start its own distribution company, it kind of, eventually went away, and some of the business partners ended up creating Advanzar, and I think you were there for a little while, right?
A year. Probably one of the worst companies I ever worked for, too.
Well, look, I've been doing this for a while now, and you could say that. But now that I've been on the other side, trying to start companies and start my own distribution and all that, it's super difficult. Like, it's not hard to make money, but it's hard to make profit. So, I don't know all the details of what happened with them and why it worked or what didn't work, but it's a difficult industry. So I didn't, like you were there for a little while and, you didn't have the greatest of experience. And I think you went to U.S. Foods after that?
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing at US Foods?
I was building pallets.
How'd that go?
It was good for a while, but it's more for a younger person. I'm too old to be lifting and stacking up pallets. Like, they had to time you. You had to be fast enough. And I think back in my prime, I would have been able to kill it. But the work hours were ridiculous. It was like from 5 to like 5 in the morning. And, I mean, I did lose a lot of weight. I did get stronger. But I also ended up hurting my arm there,
So building a pallet is actually taking product and putting it on the pallet
stack it like super high.
To specifications and stuff?
We're like menudo, flour bags, like you had to stack it certain ways, and then you had to wrap it and then push it, get ready for the truck. There's times that I would flip the whole goddamn thing over, so you had to make sure everything's like so tight.
So I mean, Frank, he goes to the gym more and he's more active now, but back then he wasn't as much. So that's a really physical, demanding job. So if you're gonna do one of those jobs, you have to be in really good shape. Be very active so you don't get injured.
You're gonna be younger too, though.
I mean, it helps, but if you're active and even if you're a little bit older, you should be fine. But you have to be pretty active and something that you do normally.
Yeah.
So then you were there, and then we got back in contact, and you were talking to me, and then you came to work for me, part time, and I think this is important, and I want to share it with everybody because it's important to tell your story, because I feel like you could be inspirational for a lot of people. At the time when you came to me, I mean, it was rough for you, right, during that time, like.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was going from there, like. I didn't have like stability or anything. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do next. Like, fuck, how many more jobs can I go through? So I remember you offered me that you're growing this company. You come work for me, do this. You can sell right there and also deliver the product as soon as we sell.
So yeah, I asked him to come. He needed a job. I didn't have much to offer him, so started off like very, very part-time, and it was doing sales and distribution for new items. So it was not easy, right? It was like,
no, it wasn't.
It's pretty hard selling new items that no one knows.
Yeah.
You're not a distributor that anybody knows.
You just gotta be very persistent. You gotta have character. You gotta know how to talk to people.
I don't.
Everybody's so different too, so you gotta know.
I don't remember what I paid you, but I know it wasn't a lot. And we started off like 1 day a week. Then and then I went to like, okay, we got more business 2 days a week now, and then 3 days a week, and then Frank would always tell me like, I need more money, pay me more, and I was like, yeah, okay, don't worry, like let's just keep growing and I'll pay you more. And I told Frank, look, dude, just let's keep working, and I guarantee you every month you'll make more money than the previous month. And for like a year straight, every month I was able to pay you more because we were getting more business.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly remember how long you worked for me, but it was, like a year, maybe 2.
Like a year and a half. It wasn't
something like that, yeah, right? Yeah. Like a year and a half.
Like a year and a half.
And then what ended up happening is just like I transitioned my business from a sales distribution to more of working with a distributor and starting like a sales team. So I was switching my business model, and so the amount of money I was going to be bringing in was going to change. So what ended up happening is I was working at the time with the distributor called LA Distributing. Like LA Distributing was its own company, and I was a separate company. And I met with the owner, Richard, one of them, and I said, hey, you know what? Like, you have a growing distribution company. I'm doing distribution, but you're growing at a faster pace. You have a bigger company. Why don't you? I'll give you my business, my accounts, and I'll focus more on building brands, and I'll use your distribution. Like if a company comes, I'll be like, hey, let's sell through LA Distributing, and I'll be your sales team. That way we can help build brands. So at that time, I didn't really have a lot of money or a lot of business in the transition. So I told him like, hey, take Frank. Frank's a good guy. He needs a job, and LED was a good growing company. And so I talked to Richard and Arthur, the two owners, and they said, okay, but we don't know Frank. Is he gonna be any good? Because they didn't know you at the time. They had never really met you.
Yeah, I remember.
And so I'm like, yeah, he's gonna end up being your best salesman, like Frank and Sal. All he needs to do is learn the products, and he will do a good job. And I already had faith in you that you were gonna do a good job because you worked for me at Energized, and like at Energized when we were doing Red Bull, you had to sell and deliver your own stuff. So it forced you to go to all your accounts, visit all your accounts, talk to all the owners. Because if you didn't go and talk to them, they were gonna buy for you and no one else was gonna deliver it. So you got used to visiting accounts and doing the job fully and servicing the account fully, because that would increase your sales, and that's the way we trained you at Energize. So that's why I knew when you would go to LA Distributing that you would do a good job. So you joined LA Distributing, and they gave you a territory that, the work wasn't well done.
They gave me a territory, they gave me like 50 stores, and I guess the guy before me would take like a year to finish that. And it took me like 2.5 days to finish the route, and I remember then when I called them and told them that I was done, and they're like all shocked, like. So after that, they started telling me to start going to different areas, different cities, and just started open as much as I could.
I remember you calling me too, and you're like, "Rob, I can't sell anything. I don't know if this is gonna work out."
No,
but it wasn't because you couldn't sell. It was just like so much new items you didn't know.
No, but that was too like in the end of the year. That's what it was too, though. It wasn't when everything was slow. So after that, it was game over.
Yeah, once you figured out the products and the customers knew you, then. But even then, like I think every few months you were making more than the previous. Like you were always, because the business was growing, and a lot of the way the sales organization work is a lot of bonus commissions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they kept challenging me after. They kept telling me like, "I'm gonna get to this number, get to this number."
Do you remember your first month? How much total dollar amount you sold for the month?
No. I don't.
Anyways, the dollar amount doesn't matter. It's more the point of like when you took it over from the beginning to when you left that area, how much of a difference?
It was like a $40,000 route. After I got done with it, it was like 170, 180.
So you took it from about $40,000 a month to about 170?
Yeah. And then they wanted me to move me to downtown after that. Cause I told them straight out that I could, any route they gave me, I was in top.
And this is true, like when you get a good salesman and knows how to sell, like you kind of put him anywhere and he'll do fine because he just understands the industry.
Yeah, it's just about building a relationship with all the customers, that's all it is. A lot of these people weren't even going to their stores, they were just calling and stuff, and you can't really make a relationship with like that. They don't even know who you are. Like, so when it comes to new brands and stuff, once you build a relationship, it's over. It makes everything a lot easier.
Okay, let's talk about that because you took it from this amount to this amount, and you like quadrupled the business.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you were doing to increase sales? Like what made you successful and be able to grow it?
Just going to the account, learning, building a relationship with all the customers, knowing what they're into, getting to know them as a person, and
Do me a favor. Tell me, like I don't know anything. I just like when you say build a relationship, I'm like, what does that mean? How would you build a relationship with someone? You're there. Let's say I'm the manager. I know you're here to sell something.
Yeah.
So how do you build a relationship to someone?
Just talking like sports. Like, hey, did you watch the Dodger game? Did you see, like, if you don't like sports, then change the subject to something else. But I mean, there's always something that I find out you like, and then we start talking more and more, and then every time I would see you, it'll be either about probably my weekend, like, oh man, I had this party or stuff like that. So it's just the vibe you get to. It's a certain way, like you can tell if you can talk to somebody or not. You can tell right away the difference though too. Like if you're a very talkative person, just how the manager is, like if it's like, hello. Okay, those are the ones that don't want to talk, but like, hey, how you doing? Oh, hey. So, it's just, you've been through so many people, so I know how to interact. Like,
yeah, and I've spent time with you out there, over the years, out in the field, and I would say you do a good job of building relationships. Everybody thinks of selling like, oh, here's a product, this is what it is, but honestly, a lot of the way I see you sell is they end up trusting you.
Yeah.
Because you show up, you talk to them, you send them the right products, you take care of them if there's issues. So when there's a new item, a new product, I find that it's easy for you to sell some of it because they already have trust. Like, hey, why don't you try it out? And they already know you're going to take care of them.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's how it works. That's why it's important to go to every store. It doesn't work when it's just email or a phone call. It's always, you still got to go in, even though if they want to do an order, unless they tell you, hey, I don't need you to come in, like, all right, I'm fine, But
which, like I said, goes back to the way you were taught at Energize, because you're so used to going to the accounts, it was normal.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh man, I gotta go to the account. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And once you're in the account and you're seeing them, you could actually see like, okay, there's an opportunity for this. They don't have this and ran out of this. Sometimes if you just do a phone order or email you might not know. I know when I was at Red Bull, I would call the stores, they're like, oh, we don't need none. And then I would drive to the store and it was empty. I'm like, dude, you say you didn't need anything, you need 10 cases. Okay, yeah, give me 10 cases.
Yeah, that's happened a lot.
So, going in there, they're busy too, so they're not gonna have time to check everything. So, and then if you have a new item, it's like, here's a sample or here's...
Like some stores, if you're running behind, they'll give you a slack, but like 7-Eleven, no. You have to go there, like, no, you go over there.
And stock it too, right?
Yeah.
So, you've been there for how long now? At LA Distributing?
Like 7 years, I believe.
Probably somewhere around there, right? 7 years.
Mm.
And how do you like it right now?
I love it. There's been a lot of changes, but I'm still happy.
What do you like the most about it?
I like my route. I like going to work. It doesn't even feel like a job to me. It motivates me, like, just to get out there. It's like you're in and out. You do your own. Nobody ever bugs you. You do your work, and just interacting with people it's always it feels good.
Well, the thing about not bugging being a manager is, as a manager, if the person's doing a good job and you're seeing him execute, you don't really bug him too much because it's like, well, he's doing a good job, he's executing. And then in sales, it's easy to see because there's tangible results. You could track numbers and sales, and you can see. So in that regard, it's easier to manage versus some other parts of the business where you have to really check on people to see if they're performing. Sales, you can see the performance easily. But even then, I remember, talking to you over the years, and there was other people we knew that were going to different companies, and they were like, oh, I'm making more money here, more money there. And I remember telling you, like, oh, don't worry about it. Just those guys are not going to last there. Stick with LA Distributing.
Yeah,
and true. You're going to keep growing, and you'll end up making more than them over time because it's just a better company to be with at this moment.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, what I wanted to ask you, because now that you've been there for a few years, LA Distributing, a lot of people want to be inside LA Distributing and want them to be their distribution company when they launch new brands. And you've worked with, over this last 7 years, you've worked with hundreds of brands, right? And, for example, you're wearing Vive, and Vive's been around for about 7 years or something like that. And they're pretty new when it started with you guys, and they're doing pretty well now with you guys, right?
Yeah, it's one of our top 5 brands.
So what I want to ask you is from your experience, because what I really want to do too is help out a lot of companies that are starting companies, and they end up at LA distributing, and then you end up selling them because you've worked with several different products over the years. What works and what can a brand do to help a salesman sell more into their accounts? What are some of the things that you see that works?
Incentives is always good to help us sell even more. Repeat the question again.
So, if a new brand came to LA Distributing,
Yeah.
you know, what's some advice you could give them to help them do well and sell and increase their sales? Like, what have you seen for some of the brands that have been successful that the new companies could use?
Well, first, when you start with a new brand, they for now on they have to have I think like it's like 50 accounts already opened.
No, but I don't want to know about the contracts and their what their, you know, because LFD has requirements and contracts, but once they're in, I'm saying, you know, once they meet these requirements and already signed a contract, and now you're selling it.
Yeah.
You know, as a salesman for the distributor, what can a brand do to help you sell more?
Honestly, what it is if they tell us that they're gonna pay us incentives to sell the brand as a whole team, it makes everybody sell a lot more than what it is.
So I think incentives work, but they work for the beginning, right? To open accounts, and you know it helps me.
And then after that, you tell if it's gonna sell or not, though. Too. It's on.
So like I think the incentives help motivate the sales team to want to open it, because it's like, okay, we gotta push a new item. We're gonna get extra money for it.
And it's always a plus if it tastes good too. It's like when you try it, oh damn, yeah, this was gonna kill.
Okay, so these are things I'm saying. Like, so taste is important, right?
Yeah.
What else is important? So incentives, like I feel like it's just good to get you motivated to start, but that's not gonna stay forever. You can't run an incentive all the time if you're a brand. Like you can run an incentive sometimes.
Yeah, it's just the start to see if it's gonna work or not.
So you're saying taste is important that you've seen?
Yeah, of course. Or just then the way the
packaging.
The packaging, yeah, that's always a plus too.
Okay, like this is I've been doing this for a long time, and I have my perception and ideas of what would work, but I just want to hear from your side. So packaging, let's talk about packaging. Should they start off with, you know, if it's a new item, a 12-pack, 24-pack, 36-pack, what would you recommend?
12-pack.
So smaller, right?
Yeah.
Less. And why is that?
Because it's a lot to pick up, or I mean, if it doesn't work out, or it's too much, I guess.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you from my perspective, and then you tell me if I'm correct or wrong based on your sales. So the way I see it is, it's better to go with a smaller package, like a 12-pack or smaller, because when you're selling it, it's less risk for the store to buy. You know, they don't have to buy a big package, and it's also cheaper because if you do, let's say it's 12-pack,
yeah,
it's gonna be cheaper.
I was thinking, but I couldn't think that well, so.
I figured that's what you were thinking. I wanted to say it and you confirm my thoughts to be true. Because, like I said, I
rather have 6-pack, like the GTs. They rather have the 6-pack than the 12-pack too. Because it's less packaging.
So you're saying a 12-pack that the customer buys, or 12-pack that the store buys and then they sell them in singles?
Yeah. So let's go. We'll go back to that. So what I mean by 12-pack is the distributor selling it to the store. Right, because then the store could turn around and sell it to the end customer as a single unit. And so typically 2 on the shelf, what I've noticed, like especially with beverage, it's like 12 usually is 1 row, so you're not committing to a lot of back stock. So
usually 8 that fit in a row.
Depending on the size of the package, right? So if it's an 8 ounce, 12 ounce, 16 ounce, it's bigger. But basically, a lot of stores don't, from what I feel, is they don't want to order a lot of a new item because they're not sure if it's going to sell or not.
Yeah.
So they want to order smaller packages, minimal amounts to test it out.
Oh, they want a free fill.
Okay, so that's another thing, right? So free fill. So what do you mean by free fill for those people that don't know?
Just give it to the customer for free and see if it sells, and if it does sell, then...
So a sample case to the store?
Basically, yeah.
And let's say if you go to 100 stores, how many you think would want a free sample? How many of those 100 stores?
All of them would.
All of them? Okay, so let's say all of them want it, but
Or
let's just say, how do you decide, okay, they gave me 10 cases. How do you decide which stores you get?
it's the one that buys the most.
So based on volume, the ones you feel like are going to do the best.
Yeah.
So like from a brand perspective, it's difficult to give so much free cases because it becomes very expensive. So I would suggest...
I hate doing it too.
Yeah, it builds bad, right? Like people always expect free.
Yeah.
So I would always suggest if you start a new company, small package, and then give a few, free cases. Do an allotment. You can work it out with the distributor and be like, okay, we're only going to give you this amount of free cases for the month. Please put us in your best stores and let us know the results. And it depends on the size of the distributor or whatever. They'll be like, we'll give us 50 cases, our top 50 accounts, 100 cases, top 100 accounts. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So like, incentive, small packaging, sample cases, right? All that stuff will help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's say you got sample cases, incentive.
Who makes the call on how much free samples going out? The distributor or the creator of the product?
They work it out between the both of them.
Yeah, they do.
Because the size of your company as a new brand, it's gonna vary. How much money you have, how much inventory you have, and then the size of the distributor too is gonna vary.
If you're a new brand, honestly, they always give a bunch of cases to give out, but you only have to give it like to the stores that buy the most. You're not gonna give it to a store that just buys like the minimum.
Have you, going back to the building the relationship, have you ever, instead of going to the most, maybe save some to that one guy that doesn't talk much to try to build a better relationship with them?
Yes, I've done that. I also even bought something from him just to show them that I'm here for the store too, not just for me. I learned that from him.
Yeah, when I was doing Red Bull, it was a new item, so a lot of stores wouldn't buy from me. They're like, we don't want it. So what I ended up doing is, after the third or fourth visit that they told me no, I would just go into the store and buy chips and soda, and they would just look at me. They already knew me, and I wouldn't say nothing, and I'd be like, thanks, And if you want Red Bull next time, just let me know, and I would just leave. I wouldn't try to solicit them. I wouldn't try to sell to them. But I'm out there anyway, so I'm always gonna buy something anyways, like a chip or water or soda. Or
I wouldn't go all that. I'll just say, look, but look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy from you. That way you remember me next time. So he had a different method than I did, and I would always throw my 2 cents in there.
But
and they'll laugh.
You know what? But after a while, they bought from me because they're like, you're supporting their business. Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's what it was. It's like you're supporting their business. So they're like, all right, fine, I'm gonna buy from you. And then you just build off of that. You show up.
Yeah.
You sell my items.
You keep going. You have to be persistent. Even you can't take no for an answer. Even though some stores took me a while to open up, but I got them at the end. Especially big accounts too.
What's your toughest account you think you got that it was hard that you got them to buy?
Green Leaf.
Tell us that story of how you tried and how you got them to buy.
They have like 9 locations. I kept going to the one in Hollywood, the one in City Walk, and they kept giving me the runaround until finally I met one of the CEOs. He was friends with the caterer there, so he called them, and then he called me, and we finally set up a meeting. But it was after like the 20th try. And finally, when I got that meeting, we went through the book. He was telling me everything he wanted, and from there, I opened every single one of them, and I still have them all right now.
How long did it take you, time-wise? You said you talked to him or visited him 20 times, but how long was the time frame? 3 months, 4 months, a year?
Like 6 months.
6 months. And this is the way I see things. This is like, I'm gonna tell you the way. On the sales side,
I almost gave up, but they challenge me too. Like they go, dude, I want you to get this one back. So once they tell me that, it's like I have to get it. Like,
this is where I see it especially when it comes to sale. I don't really believe in no. Like when people tell me no,
oh, I know.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll just get them next time. Like I don't see a no. I just see like okay, they mean not right now.
Or you argue your way into.
Yeah, that too. If you don't, you got something, you gotta be a little persistent, actually, you know, like. But my mentality though is like, okay, well, I'm gonna get it eventually, you know. Maybe they don't like this item, you know. Eventually, I'll get an item that they like, and they're gonna end up buying from me. You know, this is the way I look at it. That's the way I've always felt about it. The whole thing is like for the distributor, like your job is really to get it in and get it into the store. It's really a lot of the brand's responsibility to help sell the brand and get the store to sell it.
It's their job to talk about our product too. I feel like it too. Like I have some stores talking about Olipop. She don't know anything about it, but she tried. She liked it, so she tells her customers about it now. Like, and once they try it, that's it. Now they want more flavors. Because a lot of people don't really know what else.
So getting the store managers to talk about the items to influence the customer to buy it. And okay, so how many times so you worked with all these brands. How many of these brands have someone that represents their company? You know, like Olipop, Vibe, whatever. Like what percentage of the business from the brands you guys have right now like have a representative that represents their brand only, an outside representative from the distributor?
It's like 25%. It's not.
And sometimes when the brands are bigger, like they don't need as many people because it kind of sells itself. Like people already know it.
Yeah.
But when they're newer, no one knows it. Like you kind of need someone to help.
Yes. Or
create brand awareness, right? So you hire somebody to go just specifically open up accounts or talk about the product to the stores to create more awareness because you're going to be more of an expert about the brand. So here's the way, like with distributors, as they get bigger for yourself, like he has a portfolio, right? You have a portfolio of different brands, and he has to make an easy number, like 1,000 brands, right? He can't, like Frank or any distributor cannot go in there and talk about every brand. Like there's just too many, right? Like
just the ones that are known right now, and then just throw in a new one.
Okay, so the way I see it is like, this is the way I say it. Salesmen are gonna sell what sells and what you get paid for. So for instance, if it's a good seller, of course you're always gonna sell it because it's at the top of mind, right? You always remember it, like, oh, don't forget to order this item, it sells really hot, because it sells. And then secondly, it'd be like if it's an incentive for you, like, okay, I'm gonna really push it this month because it's an incentive, I wanna make extra money. So that's why I see it. Those are the two things, you know? But then it's like, you got 1,000 brands, right? Like you can't present every brand every time you go in there, you know? Like it just takes too long. Like, so you gotta pick and choose, right?
Well, that's why you leave them a catalog and you leave them a price list, because there's a lot of stuff too that we don't have pictures, so you have to leave them at least the price that way they see them too. Because not every brand we get is in the book either.
So would you recommend a new brand that they already went through, Richard Hunter said okay to it already? Would you recommend them hiring someone on behalf of the brand to go and speak to some of these accounts and create awareness?
Yes. That's always good.
So this is the things I'm saying to help the brand. So, packaging, pricing, flavor, having an expert about the brand that can help create awareness.
An intro special deal.
Mm-hmm. So by intro special deal, a lot of times, let's say a new product has 4 flavors, right? Let's say they come in, they got 4 flavors. What's a good intro deal?
Buy 3, get 1 free.
So offer the store buy 3 cases and get the 4th flavor for free.
Yeah.
Stores are usually used to this in our market, in the LA market, Orange County market, so they're kind of used to it.
And some just don't want to buy 3 cases either.
Or so it entices them though, to buy, right? Like okay. That's why if it's a smaller amount, like a 12-pack, it's easier to sell and hey, you gotta buy 4 36 packs.
Yeah.
Pricing, how important is pricing?
Pricing is Very important.
If you created, just for instance, a new coconut water juice, what would you price it at? Let's say it's a 16-ounce can.
$21.
A case, but how about unit price? Let's say, do I have it here?
$2 will probably be my cost.
Let's just say you created a new coconut water this size. What would you tell the person that created this suggested retail for the can to sell to the store?
$3.99.
How much?
$3.99
For this one can?
Yeah.
And that's how much the end consumer is gonna pay for it?
No.
Like if I go into the store, how much should I pay for this? If I'm gonna buy it and drink it, what would you?
If you're the owner of the store, or
No, let's say that you already got it into the store,
okay.
and I'm gonna go in there to buy a drink and pull this one. What is a good price for something this size?
$2.99.
$2.99. So that means that the retailer should get it, somewhere about $2 for him. So he can sell it for like $2.99.
Well, a little bit under, but yeah.
Somewhere around. I'm just making even numbers to make it easier.
Yeah.
How important is pricing right now out there in the market?
Pricing is very important right now.
Do you really want to be over? If you're over, is it going to sell a new item?
No, of course not.
So you always want to go take a look at the category, right? If you're creating something new,
Yeah.
check out pricing
Compared to the other ones.
and be somewhere in a competitive range. So these are the things I'm talking when I'm asking you, like, okay, pricing is important. Be in a competitive range, like if you're gonna be more expensive, not too much, and give the customer a reason, like, okay, that one's more expensive, but it has something extra.
But a lot of stores don't like to put pricing anymore. I noticed that. They just wait till they get to the register because they don't want to know how much everything is.
Okay, let's say this brand, whatever, or any new brand, like, what would you want as a salesman for them to create for you to help you sell? Sell sheet is the most important?
Yes.
So a sell sheet it's a sheet of paper with all the information of the product. It'll have like a nice picture of whatever flavors it is, description of the product. It'll usually have like a UPC code on it so they can scan it.
Yes.
Sometimes it has like the pricing on it as far as like what the deals are for the stores.
It'll have the unit cost.
The unit cost, all that, so it's easy to explain, easy for them to see.
Yeah.
Okay, so a pricing sheet, what else as a salesman, would be useful for you? Statics, you don't think so? Danglers and that?
You know what? Because a lot of stores don't want pricing anymore. I noticed that. And before it was easy, like, to put up signs and everything, but a lot of the stores, like 7-Eleven, honestly, they hardly even put pricing up there anymore.
Well, 7-Eleven's always been more difficult when it comes to marketing materials because they usually try to put 7-Eleven marketing materials. So it's always been more difficult. If you're going to put like a marketing material at 7-Eleven, it's usually better go through their corporate office to be approved than just trying to go and put it in the store.
Like gas stations just asking like for signs and stuff. They don't want pricing. They ask
that's what I'm saying. But what kind of signs? Like
the brand that they buy, like.
But like poster or stickers. Like what kind of?
I think like shelf stocker kind of, like those little, I don't know what they're called. They're like you put them under the cooler.
There's like I said, there's shelf strips. There's
I think they're shelf strips.
Shelf strips is little information that goes inside the shelf that kind of gives you information. And there's danglers, which goes on the shelf too, but it dangles out, so it kind of pops.
Yeah.
And then there's also static cleans, which go on the window. It's a sticker, but it's more for like windows, so it doesn't really. Sometimes if you get stickers, they get too sticky, and the stores don't like it because you can't take it off. But static cleans just kind of stick to the window, but you can easily take them off. So I think it's statics I would suggest because if it's a new item that like no one knows what it is, you could put bullet points of what it is. It's like it's a new water with oxygen. It's a new water with charcoal. It's a new water, like, so something for people to understand what it is. Because sometimes you get a new item and you don't know what it is. What's the purpose of it? What's the benefits of it?
Yeah.
Okay, how about demos?
Demos is always good. But demos is always like for big accounts too. You can't do like a little liquor stores or gas stations.
Independent markets?
Yeah, basically.
Like what is a good independent market to do a demo at from the stores that you might have?
Little Tokyo Market, Kaiju Market.
Little Tokyo Market, it's in what city?
Little Tokyo.
Okay, so it's in Little Tokyo, inside of Little Tokyo?
Yeah.
And it's a Asian market, right?
It's an Asian market. And so
it's pretty good size?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
So if you had a new brand, you would like them if they took it on and do a demo for you guys?
Yeah.
The demos are good too, like you said, like it helps create awareness, it gets people to try it. So it's always good to have, someone go in there and do a demonstration, have people try it, and then get consumers to buy it. And it's good for the store too, because the store then appreciates it, right? And then they're probably buying more from you because it's like, okay, we're gonna have a demo. Let's buy some more so we can support this demo. Anything else you would think that could really help our brand out?
No. No, nothing I can think of.
What are you seeing out there in the market that's doing really well? Like what kind of categories? Like what do you see that's doing well? Like,
right now, our watermelon water, that mellow.
So flavored water?
Yeah, that's kicking butt right now. Even with this weather changing and everything. Like Calypso slowed down, of course, but that's normal. It always happens.
About not particular any kombucha brand, but like how do you see the kombucha categories? Is it still growing?
It's still growing. It's still hot date is still, I believe, GT is selling well. The one that's probably lower right now is Better Booch and Delakai. They don't sell as fast as they used to. But the other two are still selling as normal as when it first started. So
the brands, I'm talking more about the category because the brands. It depends on the cities too.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
You do a certain city where sometimes a brand might do better in another area. Like
I have downtown LA, Koreatown, Silver Lake, Hollywood, East LA, Montebello, and they took away Whittier from me. So.
California is really different. So in certain areas, certain consumers are looking for more of a price, like sensitive to price, like the lower the better. And then in certain areas, it's more about the health, like is it healthy? So it's just gonna vary depending on what city you're in California, LA, Orange County, which one. And the flavors too, it'll impact different flavors, different cities. What do you see for like the future of beverage? Where do you see it going? Like, what do you think is gonna be the next big thing? You see anything out there? Like for a while, was CBD was a big hype. Do you see any type of new category? Are bars growing or
no?
Waters, are they starting to take off again? Like, is there any new type of category that you see really, not even just what you sell, but like you see like, oh man, I'm seeing this a lot out there?
No, not that I can think of. The hemp is still the same. It's not blowing up like it used to. A lot of things have calmed down, especially. So, no. I can't think of anything.
So just the mellow, the flavored water?
Yeah, right now everybody's asking for it. Even people that just hear about it, like they don't even have it. Like they're going, hey, Frank, yeah, mellow. Yeah. And I guess from other stores and all that. So, like the guy that was calling when we were eating, that's what he wanted.
Okay, so that's kind of it about the distribution. I just wanted people to like hear from you because you're actually doing it. Like I said, a lot of people want to be in LA distributing. It's one of the top distributors in the LA market, and they cover from Santa Barbara all the way down to San Diego. They're probably the strongest regions are LA and Orange County. So some of what I feel are the best things about LA distributing is they have a cold availability. So by that I mean is they could sell refrigerated products. A lot of distributors don't have that ability. So I think that's
we have a lot of perishables there.
Yeah.
Right? We have a big cooler and we moved to a different facility that's a lot bigger now.
I think that's one of their big, things that it's really good about them. Another one is they have a good account base as far as their good accounts, their higher end accounts, their,
We're growing.
busy
expanding.
busy type of accounts, healthier, nutritional type accounts that are like into health. So I think that's another big thing about them. And then I think the other big thing they have about them is they got good quality brands that the market's asking for right now. So they got the healthier type, newer brands that are coming out that people are looking for. I think those are like the top 3 things that I see from the outside with LA Distributing as far as why a lot of people want to be with them as a distributor. Is there anything else you think makes LA Distributing somewhere where people want to go, and what makes it a good distributor?
The people around LA Distributing, like the bosses, like they're always motivating. They're always calling me and everything, like how's everything going. So the people you work with, it makes it a lot better too, especially when they give you credit for everything you do.
Okay, so that's kind of the beverage and all that stuff, but I did want to talk to you about one other thing, because like I said, I find that your story could be motivational for a lot of people. So when I met you, Frank, and you first started working at Energized, you were always a good guy, good worker, but I felt like you were kind of lost.
Yes, I believe I was lost.
Because you were younger and you were in, a party phase versus, like let me work and have a good time.
Yeah.
But I've known you for years now, and you've grown so much from the time I met you to where you're at now.
Yes.
And when you were working for me, when we were my new company, Golden Empire, and you were working for me, not Energized, but the new company, Golden Empire, I remember asking you about your goals, and one of your goals was to buy a house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's good.
I'll never forget that too. I remember when you told my dad or my mom, they started laughing. Like,
well, okay, let's talk about that, because the reason I want to talk about that is because I'm proud of you. I believe in you. I feel like a lot of people were like you when you were younger, and I want them to see, like where you were to where you're at now, and that they could accomplish it. So Frank, one of his goals was to buy a house, and one of my business partners, he's in real estate. So, he's been dating this amazing woman now for a few years now, right? How long you guys been together with Rocio now?
Probably like 7 years.
7 years, and so him and Rocio came in and we talked about the possibility of buying a house, and we sat down and we discussed our finances. Here's where you're at. And the first thing we got to do is pre-qualify you to get a loan to buy a house. So here's where you're at. This is the things you need to do to get here, right?
Yes.
And we sat down and we told Frank and Rocio, like, here's where you're at. This is what you need to do. And then they went out and did it. They went and, fixed their credit, paid off some debt, saved some money, like everything that you needed to be able to be pre-qualified. So one day we go out and have dinner with your family.
Yeah.
And it was your mom's birthday.
Yes.
And we went to Sushi Loco in La Puente.
Yeah, I was in Ciclovina, but yes, La Puente.
And we went, and it was me, you, your mom, your dad, your kids, Rocio. And it's his mom's birthday, and we're there, and we're all, having a good time and celebrating her birthday. And I said this, and I'm like, your son's gonna buy a house one day. And they all laughed. Everybody laughed. Your mom laughed, your dad laughed, your kids laughed.
I don't know about the kids, but I remember my mom and dad.
Wow, they were at least smiling.
I don't forget that. I'll never forget that, but yeah.
And as we walked out, your mom's like, she came over to me, she's like, thank you for believing in my son. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna do it. And then, then you got pre-qualified and you were able to get to the point where you could buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you at now?
I have a nice house in Pomona.
And you've been fixing it up, like.
Yeah, I've been upgrading every year, I guess. Yeah, it just feels good.
And how proud are your parents too? Like, you know,
No, they're very proud. They're very proud that they take over my room when they come over. They don't even freaking leave their luggage in the living room or anything. They go straight to my room.
And
so
when I said that in front of your family and all that, did you believe when I said that?
No. I can honestly say no.
You didn't even believe in yourself?
No, I did not. I can honestly say no.
Why didn't you believe in yourself at that moment?
Because it's just, you don't really think it's gonna happen because like you're older and stuff and you don't know how long you're gonna last and you don't know like, so I'm like, fuck, am I over my age already? Like, I don't know if I'm too late to start over, and all I gotta say is keep grinding and everything comes to place. You meet that one person that you're compatible with and everything comes to place. That's all I gotta say.
Rocio too, we gotta give her credit.
Yeah,
like, I think she's been a big
without her, there's
inspiration.
no house, I
think she's been a good influence on you in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see you guys together, and I'm happy to see you guys happy, and I'm happy to see that you guys have a beautiful home that you've been fixing up and entertaining people, and I'm happy to see your mom happy.
We're tired of entertaining people in that part too.
I'm happy to see your parents happy with you as well.
Oh yeah.
And I'm happy to see that you could show your kids too, like,
it's never too late.
Look what I could do, you know.
Yeah, it's never too late.
I wasn't doing things right before, but you know, I put my mind to it and look what I was able to accomplish. So very, you know, like, thanks for coming down, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks for being part of this. Thanks for telling your story. I want people to listen.
Thank you.
I want people to be motivated, you know, and I just want you to do well, you know, like, honestly, like, if you're doing well, I feel happy.
Thank you, yes, I owe it all to you.
Not to, you don't know.
I owe it to you for your role plays.
You owe it all.
Because without your role plays, honestly, there's no way I would be able to talk to. I remember that part. I remember when I started and I would wait till all the customers leave so I could get that manager one-on-one. Because I didn't want people to see me when I was talking to the customer because I was just embarrassed. I didn't want to stutter, I didn't want to mess up, so I'd rather just be a one-on-one. But your role plays after that, I became a pro. I didn't even care if there was like 20 people right there. I'll just straight out go for the manager. I don't know. But those times I used to waste a lot of time because I would always want to be that one person. But yeah, this role plays worked.
I love it. So I don't feel that anyone could motivate another person. I feel that you have to motivate yourself. There might be something that I say, someone else says, wherever, you know, but then something inside you tells yourself, like, yeah, I could do it. And when that happens, when you see that little spark in yourself and you find that belief in yourself, wherever that spark comes from, that's when you're able to accomplish the things that you want. So, because I talk to a lot of people and no one listens to me. You know, so it's like,
I listen to you.
Yeah, but it was in you. You wanted it. You know, like you really wanted it.
Yeah.
So if you didn't want it, it didn't matter what message I'm saying.
That's why I love work now. It's not a job to me. Even I live far, but I love going to work. It's so easy. Like, it's easy. My heart is just to talk to people and stuff. It's easy.
Now.
Oh yeah. That was years ago.
All right, thanks, Frank. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.